in honor of us going back to Basic Instinct, I have brought back a feature not seen since episode 1.
She's evil! She's brilliant!
Baby, we got sound clips. My dude, you do not want to know how much money I put into us getting sound clips that I really didn't have to.
Well,
I bought an iPad or iPad Air, so now I can or whatever, right?
It's Britney, bitch.
And so I don't know why I did this.
So we have a soundboard for the podcast.
And so I went back to like I'll be like I was like, "Oh, I'll get all the old clips from the first episode. We'll use them again." They suck. Like there's a total reason we never did that again. I just have.
You think you can fuck like minks, raise rugrats, and live happily ever after? Oh, man!
What am I going to use that? When am I going to cue that up?
I don't know. I think that clip's got versatility.
Yeah.
That clip's got legs.
And I mean, the point of having a soundboard is kind of like Katamari Damacy them. Like, you slowly collect them as the show goes on now. From episode 200 on, we'll build our repertoire.
Kind of. I sort of filled this soundboard up with
I'm the coolest. What are you buying?
So I don't. I don't know when I'm going to use these.
You bought us the gift of production value for episode 200.
I tried. I thought I'd give us a treat and we'd have a new thing. This is a waste of fucking money.
No,
you'll learn. Yeah,
baby. I think you should let your soul guide you. When we're in the middle of a conversation and there's a need for the Shadow the Hedgehog, I'm the coolest. You just gotta
just hit him with a little.
I'm the coolest.
Yeah. This whole thing smacks of gender.
I made a few. That one I generated with a Duke Nukem AI voice.
Actually, this whole thing smacks of gender is going to come up a lot on this show.
It truly does. Everything does.
All right, I made one other one with an AI voice, so I'm just going to get it out of the way.
Woman in a box, virgin sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, sacrifice. I don't know. The Solid Snake voice generator wasn't as good.
So are you gonna pepper in Basic Instinct clips?
I only got like 3 of them. A bunch of it's dumb shit.
Thank you for your ongoing dedication to the podcast. I for one am thrilled with this.
Before you get too excited about it, are you ready to do the intro?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hit it!
Oh, that's upsetting. I don't know how to
do the intro, Josh.
I don't know how to time it with the music.
Do the intro, Josh.
Hello and welcome to Swimfans, your favorite erotic thriller podcast. Folks.
Shit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hit it!
Hello and welcome to Swimfans, your number one erotic thriller. Folks, today we're turning 200. It is our 200th birthday. Every Thursday is a birthday. This is our 200th episode, not counting 200th episode asterisk, right? Because not counting Christmas episodes and birthday episodes and any other unnumbered episodes.
If you count the raw number of uploads, this is actually the 250th upload to the RSS feed, unless something for some reason goes up before this.
Shut up! That's so perfect.
I don't know how it happened. We totally planned it.
But this is the 200th numbered episode of Swimfans. We have gone through so much dog shit. We've gone through some really good stuff. And for our 200th episode, we thought it would be fun to revisit a classic. In fact, it's the classic. We thought we'd revisit the first ever episode of Swimfans, before there even was a Craig Neeson.
Yep.
Before when he was still just an idea in our minds.
Yeah. When I was just a diagram on a whiteboard in Langley, Virginia, in CIA headquarters.
when he had yet to break containment.
When we had audio clips such as
She's evil. She's brilliant.
Play the Rugrats one.
You think you can fuck like Minx, raise Rugrats, and live happily ever after? Oh, man.
Oh man.
oh man.
Now, is that going to layer over top of Miller Ball Breakers, which is still playing?
Yes.
Great.
There's no getting it out of there. It's on the same audio track.
If you are a long-time Dove, and I mean long-time Dove, you'll remember that our very first episode was 1992 Paul Verhoeven film Basic Instinct, and we're doing it again.
Smoke weed every day.
We didn't introduce ourselves, did we?
Yeah. No, that's all right. That's all right.
Wait. Let me introduce you guys. First up, we got Josh McKenzie. Say hello.
Hi.
We guarantee loads.
Next up, we got Craig Neeson. Say hello.
Hey, Craig Neeson here.
You boys know how to shovel coal?
And I am, of course, Alex Hawking.
Real trap shit.
That one's from, if you're familiar with Trapaholics mixtapes. That's some
Real trap shit.
R.I.P. Fredo Santana.
We do guarantee loads.
We do. We do
Guarantee loads.
The soundboard is so disorienting.
It's bad. It's never coming back. We can't. I can't do this again.
We have to. I think we got to roll with it now.
I don't like
if
this
you-
magic. I don't want to
So
play
if-
with these particular dark forces.
If you have not seen Basic Instinct, this is the story of Nick Coran, played by Michael Douglas. He is a disgraced San Francisco homicide detective. He just can't stop shooting civilians. You find out later he shot like half a dozen separate civilians.
Didn't even include all the dogs he probably killed.
He's brought on to
Heavy
investigate
machine gun.
the death. He's brought on to investigate the death of former rock star Johnny Boz. And Johnny Boz is quickly linked to a novelist, Catherine Trammell, played by Sharon Stone. The police learn very quickly that Trammell has written a book that very much mirrors the crime. And as they get to know her, they realize she has written multiple crime books that seem to resemble, on their face, multiple crimes. Nick and his partner interview Catherine multiple times, but of course she reveals nothing. She simply plays with the police and leads them along. Nick begins following Catherine, and he realizes that she has a history of befriending murderers, such as her live-in girlfriend Roxy, and this woman who's like a family annihilator. While that's going on, Nick is also continuing his ongoing affair with Dr. Beth Garner, the police psychiatrist, who they have like a sexual relationship with. Early on in the movie, Garner reveals that she went to school with Catherine Trammell. They went to Berkeley together, and Nick gets very angry at her when it's revealed that Catherine knows about his personal psych file. Both Garner and the IA officer are to blame, and Nick goes after them very publicly. And then that evening, the IA officer is found dead. So obviously, of course, Nick is a suspect and is put on leave. He's no longer an active cop. Because he is free from the chains of fate that have bound him, he is free to pursue Catherine completely unofficially. So they get close and eventually begin a sexual relationship themselves. Their sex seems to mirror the sex with Johnny Boz we saw at the start of the movie. Roxy, jealous of Nick and Catherine's budding relationship, tries to kill him, but she fails and dies. This makes the police even more suspicious of Nick. as bodies begin to pile up around him, even more bodies, that is. Finally, Nick realizes that one of Catherine's former paramours in college was, in fact, Dr. Beth Garner, who has changed her name, and there are now suspicious circumstances around him. Nick goes over to meet Catherine, who he's now, falling in love with, but she's very cold and distant to him. She tells him that her book, which she has modeled after him, the detective character, she said her book is finished. She no longer needs him. Dejected, he goes to meet his partner, Gus, and Gus is like, hey, I'm about to go check out her, college roommate if you want to come. Gus goes in alone and is stabbed to death by a hooded figure. When Beth shows up sort of unexpectedly at the scene, Nick shoots her. He believes she's reaching for a gun, but is in fact only reaching for her Bart Simpson keychain. In the last sort of movement of the movie, there is a lot of evidence collected at Dr. Beth Garner's apartment that seems to point to her as the killer of Boz and the IA officer and even her own husband. Like a bunch of newspaper clippings of Catherine and everything to set her up as a proper psychopath. Catherine breaks into Nick's apartment in the last bit of the movie. They sort of resume their sexual relationship when she says, I'm just afraid to let anyone get close to me. Exactly what he wants to hear, and she knows it. They have sex one last time, and you see her sort of reach down past the bed in sort of a tense moment, and then they embrace. The camera pans down to reveal a very fancy ice pick under Nick's bed. Craig, what do you think about Basic Instinct?
So that's a good question because I was not here. I was not present at the time of the recording of this. I was not a member. I'd yet to receive my honorary diploma. I've spoken of the film in successive episodes, and my line used to be, it's great, but it would be great if it was just Catherine Trammell the whole time, which, as pointed out, there is actually a version of that an artist created that's only Sharon Stone's scenes in this film kind of cut.
Slay.
Yeah. So
Carlos pointed it out to us. I think it exists in the art museum in Milwaukee.
Yes, indeed. And, I hewed to that line for a long time, and this is the first time I've seen Basic Instinct in probably 5 or 4 years or something. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I think that this is Michael Douglas at kind of his, I wouldn't say his best, but definitely in his higher kind of tier of acting. And also, something that we've discussed a lot in the past is Michael Douglas's physical kind of appearance. Whether he's a money ghoul or whatever, he's appropriately kind of I don't know, insofar as he can be sexy, he is actually attractive in this movie. I don't know. I think the whole thing is really fantastic. I think the cinematography is great. The plot is much less scattershot than I remember. It's noir. It's just noir tropes. It's very familiar femme fatale things, but it's executed extremely well. Yeah, it's lovely. I don't know why he wears a green sweater to the club.
No, man.
We can revisit our club segment.
still a huge problem. But yeah, overall, vastly more enjoyable than I remembered, and I remembered liking it quite fine.
Yeah, that sweater's fucked up. That could be its own segment. I think we talk about that in the original episode as well. And I think
save that.
I think I think it's even the episode art of the original episode of the first episode. But as for Basic Instinct, this is, to me, it's the erotic thriller. Everything that I like about the genre, and I think that most people like about this genre, are I think everything exists in Basic Instinct in its purest form. It's deliriously horny. Everyone wants to fuck in this movie. And I think that it's noirish meta narrative plot unfurls in a really genuinely exciting and satisfying way. And it has Catherine Trammell in it, who's the greatest ghoul of all time, who, if you can make her head bigger on the Swimfans Mount Rushmore, I would make it as big as it could possibly be without breaking the mountain.
So who do you have real quick? You've got Catherine Chamel, Madison, obviously.
Of course. I'm gonna go with Jennifer Jason Leigh's character in Single White Female. I'm blanking on her name.
Oh, okay.
Craig, do you know her name?
No.
It's like Allie.
Oh, Allie. Yep, Allie.
Or is it Allie the other character?
It's Jennifer Jason Leigh in Single White Female.
Yeah.
It's Hetty.
Oh, who would be the fourth?
I feel like the easy answer is Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction.
Oh, that's true. That's a powerhouse.
I was gonna say I feel like there might be a more entertaining answer, but I could accept that.
We can come back to that. But I love Catherine Trammell. I think she's the best. I like that she wields her sexuality as some kind of like divine weapon that she uses for her godlike powers over the narrative, where it seems like she not only read the script ahead of time, but maybe she wrote it too. I love Michael Douglas, man. I was so happy to see him again. I was so happy we got to do another one of his movies. I think he is perfectly cast in this as like unhinged cocaine cop, because like he just has that kind of malice about him. That kind of like
he has a malice.
That kind of danger to him. Jean Triplehorn's hair, I now think is fantastic. Josh was right about that in our original episode.
Did I remark on that?
Yeah, I said I didn't like her hair. You said you liked her hair. Her hair's cool. I like her hair. She's also good. But yeah, like the production values in this, like the camera work is insane. There's that interrogation scene, obviously the most famous scene in the movie. It is shot amazingly well. Like the camera is like bobbing and weaving through like 8 people sitting still in a room, and it feels like an action scene or something. No one moves. It's still dynamic. I don't know. It's great. Sharon Stone's great. God bless her. Untouchable. Trust no ghoul.
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah, I haven't seen this since we did our episode on it, since Swimfans episode, issue 1. I haven't seen this movie. I also like it more similar to Craig. I already liked Catherine Chamel, and I even loved her in Risk Addiction.
Yeah.
Because she really is such a great character. If you're like a fan of villains, you really can't do better than her. I love she has this line in the movie where she's like, "You're gonna find out exactly what I want you to find out," she says to Michael Douglas, and she never slips. He doesn't find out anything that she wanted to find out. She's incredibly cool. I feel like so many erotic thrillers miss this because like she's just excited. She's just a creature. It's not even like of malice, so it doesn't feel like uncomfortable to watch so much. She's just like a person who's like, she's just toying with her, just a true psychopath, right? Like she's just toying with her environment. And in a fictional setting, it's extremely fun to watch. I love to watch her do her little machinations to the regular people. I agree that this movie looks great. The scene that comes to mind immediately is really small, actually, but it's the scene where it's like, well, there's 2 shots, but it's where Gus is being stabbed, and then where Gus is in the pool of his own blood.
Yeah,
it's just like so bloody and so viscous. It's such a small part of the movie, but it looks awesome. The movie makes a very strong case for heterosexuality. Sharon Stone is gorgeous in this movie.
You boys know how to shovel coal?
She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous in this movie. I love how dangerous her sexuality is. Yeah, she really is like a femme fatale, but like she's just not punished at the end. She gets to have her reign of evil continue, which is just so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to bump up my rating for this an entire star. I had a pretty good time. Jean Triplehorn's hair is good. It's like voluminous. It's bouncy. It's almost perfectly triangular.
Like Dilbert's coworker.
But it absolutely suits her. I don't know. Her hair's just really nice. Yeah, I liked this more upon revisiting it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Did you cue that up in case I liked it more?
Yes.
Did you have one in case I liked it less?
Look here! Look, listen!
wanted to so I watched like the new restoration of it as well because they just did a 4K, or they just released a 4K of it. I really appreciated like the violence in it a lot more, like you were saying with like Gus laying in that elevator. And also, I think his name, I don't remember, Johnny something gets stabbed hella bad. Johnny Boz gets hella stabbed in the opening. And it's like a fucking Total Recall effect.
Yeah.
Like it's like a fake head that they're jamming stuff through or something. And then I also noticed there's like a full-blown like effects team in the credits, I guess, just to do that shit. And so when she's stabbing him, it looks real fucking violent. And you really see bloodshed in a really uncompromised way compared to like where a lot of these movies go.
Yeah, that's odd. For some reason, I remember the bloodshed being kind of like tepid or understated. So I was actually genuinely shocked in the beginning with that stabbing because it's very brutal. It's like something you would see in a Refn film, like, where his unflinching kind of like, this is how a skull caves in type shit. Really, really, really gruesome. All the way to the micro moment where Catherine Tamel scratches Nick's back, right?
Oh, ow.
Like they're sharp punctuations, and they're few and far between. I think it's like Gus's death, the scratch, the ice pick head thing, and that's kind of it. Oh, the gunshot, I guess. And the gunshot is actually fairly successful. When we see,
it's pretty icky for a movie gunshot.
Yeah, and when we see Nielsen's dead body, he's got a, he's been domed and he's got a, bullet hole on his head.
It's got like a volcano coming out of there.
It's all really successful. I was shocked. I didn't remember it being so, well handled. But then I look at, I'm reminded who directed this. It's Paul Verhoeven, right? So
right.
It makes complete sense that it would be expertly done.
Or that he would like hyper fixate on the things he's most interested in, like the on-screen violence.
Yeah, when I was a child, I was traumatized by Starship Troopers with the part where the brain bug just jams the needle into the. It's not Denise Richards, is it? Is it the other girl?
Yeah, it's the other girl. I think Denise Richards survives.
Yeah, just sucks the brain out of that girl. And I remember being a child, not okay. Yep. Seeing that.
Yep.
I already didn't like bugs. There was a gruesomeness that I didn't quite recall. Craig, did you watch the director's cut? Because I watched the director's cut.
What's the difference?
I have no idea. I don't know if the director's cut is more violent because I really was surprised. I didn't remember it being so much.
I don't know. I'm not sure because American movies tend to edit out nudity more than they edit out violence.
Yeah, I'm not saying that was the compromise. I was just curious if that was
I'm not sure, honestly.
I watched,
I've only seen.
It was the Amazon Prime Basic Instinct.
Okay.
That's where I found it. So.
I would hope that most versions in circulation at this point are the director's cut. I can't confirm it, but my guess is that you probably watched the unrated version.
Folks, it wasn't rated. There's too much violence and tits for a rating.
It's too cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think one of my big just takeaways from this after doing 200 episodes, many of those were erotic thrillers. Do you know off the top of your head, Alex, how many episodes we've done that are erotic thrillers?
No,
discounting the teen movies.
No.
I think we only did about a year and something of teen movies.
We did 2 year. Wait. Well, because there's also Cruel Summer in there and stuff.
Yeah.
But we did a year and a half of teen movies.
All right, I'll guesstimate we did roughly 100 erotic thrillers. We've seen roughly 100 of them, maybe a little less. And I think it's so easy now upon an exhaustive study of the genre that few would attempt. Few people
scholars only zone here.
Yeah.
I honestly think we are nearing to scholar level of erotic thrillers that few have dared to tread.
It's the character in every Hellraiser movie that's obsessed with opening the cube.
Yes. I've never thought about this before, but we're getting very close opposed to being the preeminent scholars on the topic.
Yep.
I think it's so clear why this works and why this is such a classic and why other movies don't work. And it is because, I think you mentioned it earlier, Alex, these like noir tropes that are sort of reused and recontextualized make it feel like a movie. And movies about like being horny for your secretary aren't a movie. It's just like you're just being a fucked up weird guy for 90 minutes.
Well, one of the things that I love so much about the erotic thriller genre is that it's the one that you can't help but tell on yourself when you're directing it, because you're going to fixate on like what is arousing to you as a director. I mean, all of the like erotics in this movie are just home runs to me in like a way that a lot of them are just like, oh, you're really lingering on this foot shot for too long.
Wet splats on the ground. I think it's almost like, how do I phrase this? There was like a productive channeling of eroticism into like a story. Like the sex is like narratively interesting. The eroticism of Catherine Trammell as like her greatest weapon is like a narrative thrust to it. Like Nick's sort of counter eroticism is that like he's like a broken man who sucks, and I think that really helps as well. And so sort of like channeling those basic parts into this noir structure, and then those two things just sort of informing each other, is why this works when like disclosure is a tedious nightmare.
Yeah, it's great to look at, and it's also deeply informing. You know, I mean, Michael Douglas's encounter with his therapist, which he's sleeping with, which is a whole type of fucked up guy, basically sexual assault. This like really violent sexual encounter after having been like turned on by Catherine Trammell. You know, the therapist remarks like, "Oh, you've never been like that with me before, ever." And it's like, oh shit, like, you know, Catherine Trammell's like just like presence already is turning Nick, steering him in kind of direction towards a rocky shore,
like an elder god.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even the way that she's introduced. I mean, I hate to be finding like grand archetypes or something in films, but when we first see Catherine and she's it's framed so beautifully. We're seeing California coast and these massive rocky cliffs and these impossibly powerful waves. I mean, she's like a fucking siren. I mean, she's like a fucking deity. She's beautiful at the same time that she's like completely deadly, like these cliffs are. Elegant framing and elegant cinematography that just informs so much. The where she is beautiful and destructive, and so is she. There's just something really, really powerful about the way that she steps into frame. She commands it from the get-go. Yeah, and it's just like, you know, there's a lot of ways to navigate, you know, that we've seen she-ghouls and he-ghouls and how they kind of, you know, either they operate like abusive in like a power structure way where they're like a boss, which is a really common thing, or they appear out of the film ether like fucking Jason, like Madison and Swimfans. Swimfan singular, sorry, it's been too long. But like, yeah, I mean, Catherine Trammell being this like guiding force that's writing the film or has access to it prior to it being filmed, and I'm not even really interested in this meta construction of her, like she's some kind of even though she is dictating everything that's happening, it's more interesting to me to see that she's set up all the pawns in a way that they are going to collide. Like she's that intelligent where she can, you know, make Roxy watch her have sex in order to make her homicidally jealous, right? Where she can position people at the right time in the right place to produce a desired outcome. To me, that's like deeply satisfying as a lover of a ghoul than it is to be like, oh, she's like she's some meta thing, right? You know, she is a film creature, but I like it when it's a little more grounded in the actual like circumstance of the film.
Well, the movie gets away with it too by having her like write a book that's in the movie. It's not like she's occasionally glancing into the fourth wall. She's not pounding on it.
I like it both ways. I hadn't thought about this like preternatural ability of hers to like author reality, but like now that I'm thinking about it, I like a little like a dollop of that on my Sunday. I like it both ways, because I mean I'm obviously I'm 90% here for the pawn setting up, right? Like we love her only telling us what she wants us to know, but I also love the idea that she's doing what's that Will Ferrell movie where like the writer is writing Will Ferrell's life?
Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah, she's doing a
terrible
little stranger than
fake Charlie Kaufman movie.
A little Stranger Than Fiction to Michael Douglas.
I mean, the moment that really struck me is previous to Gus being stabbed to death. We see this shit. What were those printers called? The one that's being we see
dot matrix.
The dot matrix printer that's literally like talking about an elevator and about how Michael Douglas finds his partner dead on the ground. She is setting up the pins in order for them to fall, and it's delightful. It's really delightful. I think that there is just such a compelling force in Sharon Stone at this period of time. And, for lack of like a better term, it's lightning in a bottle. Like, this is the most perfect person for this role that could have possibly come along. It's just, it's like when planets align. She is Catherine Trammell, and there could have been no other person to fill these shoes. It's just crazy.
A moment that I really like with her ghouling is when M. Doug comes up to her and is like, I looked in, there was no Oberman that went to your school. And she reacts with like surprise, like shock or something, that like, oh, you looking into my life now? What she does next is really like telling, because she's like, and I said Hoberman, because she's also correcting him to get him like back on the track that she has him on. Because if she actually didn't want him looking into anything, she would have said nothing.
Because he's such an idiot. He missed the H.
Yep.
But it also, because everything she does is on like 3 layers, because she also gets to like feign being hurt, right? That he would like look into her, so she gets to like wind him around her finger a little further, while also serving her grand plan of, I don't know, getting off. She like this is her getting off. How come the good for her gays don't like Basic Instinct more?
Too old.
Is that it? That sucks.
Maybe.
This is such a better good for her movie than Midsommar, for instance.
Yeah. Yes, listener, reject Midsommar. Embrace Basic Instinct.
Yeah, I mean, this is more of a be bisexual and eat hot chip.
And lie, above all lie.
Be bisexual, do crimes. Yeah.
Be bisexual, stab ice pick and lie. I mean, it is interesting. There isn't quite that pull, because there is such a, even though like it's interesting the way that Catherine Trammell, I mean, I guess maybe it's just because of we're watching this in 2023 or something, but when, Roxy kind of appears the second time that we see her and Catherine kind of immediately kisses her, it's like, oh, well, yeah, sure. Like, she is a person who likes to fuck, so that makes sense. But it does feel weirdly hewn, like it hews to like heterosexuality for some reason. Like, I feel like, I don't know, there's just something about I feel like it gets articulated with the Rugrat thing. I mean, so it's interesting, right? Like, Michael Douglas repeats that line in bed at the end, and Catherine like immediately like reaches for the fucking ice pick, but then he revises it. He's like, we'll fuck, and then we'll live happily ever. We'll forget the Rugrat part. And then she's like, okay, cool.
You can live. Yeah, you can live another 2 days.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about this female matriarchal control that just feels like, I don't know, just like such a deep undercutting of all of the men in the film. I mean, especially Michael Douglas, of course, but they're so sufficiently being bushwhacked that it feels, in a sense, like, I don't want to call it like doming, because it's like way more severe than that. It's a
murder is the greatest dom of all. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. I mean, it's like like Michael Douglas is essentially experiencing like death drive in the film. Like the whole thing is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even this idea of like smoking. Catherine says like, well, you're gonna start eventually, start back up eventually, and of course he does. And smoking being kind of the most like emblematic kind of quotidian death drive, where you're kind of participating in your death like every day, like very casually, one cigarette at a time. He's doing that with Catherine. He's lurching towards the abyss, and everyone is telling him that, especially Gus, which is like his main role, is to like warn him that what he's doing is like a folly, but he can't stop, and that feels really like straight or something. Or I don't know. It's just because it positions Michael Douglas's like libidinal whirlpool that he's kind of spinning around, is maybe like the compelling force that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I guess this movie is a bit, I mean, no matter how you slice it, this movie is a bit more male-gazy than perhaps any Good For Her movie. Yeah, and I guess the difference between like this and a Gone Girl is that we get Amy's interiority and we don't get any of hers. But that's why Catherine Tramel's so fun, is that she's an unknowable creature.
Yeah, I don't want to know what's going on in there. I just want to see, malice.
Yeah, and I mean, if you, like myself and apparently Craig and Alex, are a devotee of women acting badly, it doesn't matter how heterosexual it is.
Yeah.
I just want to watch her do crimes and continue to get away with it.
Right.
Like Jean Triplehorn says.
She's evil. She's brilliant.
It's such a fucking good line. It's so, it is so melodramatic. It is so, I don't want to say that's out of step with the movie, but like kind of. It's funny, but it's also really, really fucking good. And then I don't know. I mean, of course Catherine Tramell has kind of successfully bushwhacked Michael Douglas, but of course she's doing the same thing to us, the audience. Sufficiently kind of muddying the waters where. Perhaps we might get confused for a moment that maybe it is in fact the therapist who's been doing some of the crimes or whatever.
Maybe Roxy did some of the crimes.
Maybe Roxy did some of the crimes. Maybe the therapist did it, so on and so forth. So I think that there is a level there of brilliance in that ridiculous line where the psychologist like absolutely has her pegged, and she articulates it in such a clear way that it's like so deeply charming and ridiculous at the same time, that it's like accurate. Just fucking incredible. Can you play it again, please?
Oh, absolutely.
She's evil. She's brilliant.
This is the thing with, I feel like almost every Verhoeven film has like one or two line reads that are just a strange choice.
They work though.
They work. You've already played it, but the Gus line read reminds me a lot of the Nomi Malone line read from Showgirls, where it's just like a bad line read, but you just like leave it in and it becomes part of the texture, the mosaic of the movie. I feel like Verhoeven just likes those, or else it would be very easy to remove.
Well, they stick out, but they're also very expressive. Like they hit the themes of the movie really hard, or like really broad. Maybe she's evil, she's brilliant is like, yeah, we know, but I don't think it really gives us too much insight into Jean Triplehorn's character. But I don't know, just texture. I like it.
Yeah. I think. Can you play that Gus one again? I think that one's the weirder one.
Fuck like minks, raise rugrats, and live happily ever after. Oh man.
It's the oh man that
Oh,
I
man.
think is not as good. I think the first part of that's actually pretty solid.
Well, was there another one you had?
Yeah, I have one other clip from the movie.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Mel. Are you sorry he's dead?
Yeah. I liked fucking him.
Oh, I thought there was another Gus line.
Nope.
That oh man is rough.
Yeah.
but it really does become part of the texture of the movie. And this isn't a podcast about showgirls, but if you are disqualified from loving showgirls based on that extremely strange line read, you are a coward. The movie owns.
Yep. Tune into episode
4.
No, I'm trying to think of when we would revisit it. Like 500 or something.
But I mean, in the cyber future when we're still doing Swimfans.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting because lines like that and ways of speaking like that, they get reserved for things like soap operas, telenovelas, Lifetime movies where, the themes are like writ large and the pathos is like the most important part. And it's interesting to see them in a context where you have like film sophistication where it's like it's supposed to be better. It's supposed to not blind, or it's not it's like, I don't know, déclassé to like be so showy with things. But for some reason, like the mosaic, like I like this idea of the mosaic of the film. It fits. It's completely. It's lovely. It doesn't feel. It feels completely structurally okay. I mean, there's melodrama in fucking Starship Troopers, for God's sake.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
All the like the relationship, romantic stuff, the like love triangle between the two female characters and the main lead, right? It's like, it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
That has to be of his movies I've seen. That has to be the most like heavy on the artifice.
For sure.
Yeah. I think melodrama is just like, he uses it as like a tool in the same way he uses anything else.
Completely. Yeah.
Like, yeah, because like Starship Troopers is everyone's acting like a movie from the 1940s in it. Yeah.
Before we get to before we get to talking about the club, I want to talk about Catherine Trammell's houses. Folks, I want to be in the house. I love the house. I love that it's 900 steps down to the ocean, which is in her backyard. I love when when Gus and Nick go to see her and she's like doing that thing where you're curled up in like an Afghan with like a two-handed mug of tea in your hands. I was watching that and I was like, I wish that was me. I wish I was looking at the choppy San Francisco sea with a cup of something warm. I love the way that her house is decorated. It's so like pretty and modern, but like, extremely sterile because that's Catherine Trammell.
It's tasteful, yeah.
I just love her houses so much. I was thrilled whenever there was a scene that was in her house because it was just like house porn.
Yeah. And the first house that we see is such a great contrast because it's so garish, ridiculously faux opulent. Things are like gilded and there's like way too much ornamentation. It's like this like
it's like a McMansion.
McMansion maximalism. It's awful. And then you see the kind of restrained, cool modern kind of clarity of Trammell's house, and it has a more of a like late 20th century layout, right? It's there's like large panes of glass, right? Whereas the other house is like more traditionally like a mansion, right? It's that moment where Nick is watching her from outside of her window. It's this blocky, massive, paned construction. There's something about that type of architecture that's, cool and inhuman, purposefully. That's kind of done away with frills in the sake of, or for the sake of, like streamlined, for clarity, for the kind of Mies van der Rohe sort of like ideology. It's fascinating. I mean, it's really, really expertly done.
It's also the perfect house to drink beverages on the rocks.
Yep. Yep. Oh, I mean, the kitchen setup where she just like has that chunk of ice and she, starts stabbing
the house requires an ice pick. It's an ice pick kind of house.
It came with the house, actually.
And, the interesting thing about when they enter Nick's apartment is Catherine immediately comments on it. She says, this could do with some warmth. And Michael Douglas's reply is, well, I wouldn't want to lie to people, or I wouldn't want to be dishonest or something to that effect. And it's like, oh, right, he's like an empty, warmthless person who doesn't have like joy or something.
Yeah. I think that line almost puts too fine a point on it, because I think it's so well done just visually with how like bare and borderline vile his apartment is.
Yeah.
That he's just sort of like a shambling mass of malice and regret. But the line is cute. It's just a little
on the nose.
It's almost it's almost on the nose.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that when he's like falls asleep and he wakes up and fucking Hellraiser is playing in the background, I didn't realize that the first time I watched this.
I didn't either.
But yeah, Hellraiser is just like on and violently churning in the background. So you have this like dead bitch you really live like this apartment, and I'm really sorry to call back to Chapo, but this is like DVD menu shit where he's just like, he just fell asleep uncomfortably and now Hellraiser is playing. It's like hot couching it up.
Smoke weed every day.
That's bad because it makes me forget what I'm thinking. 50 minutes in and the soundboard is bad, actually.
What are you quiet? I'm afraid, Dave. My mind is going.
I don't know why I got that one.
It fits the scenario perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys want to, we can revisit The Club. I love The Club. It's the worst fucking club I've ever seen in my life.
It's so gaudy. It's like it can't decide if it wants to be like this sort of like goth thing because it's a church covered in neon, but then also like no one in there is goth. And it's
everyone's a yuppie inside the neon church club.
And so you don't get that kind of Matrix Club atmosphere that you would think you would get out of a church club.
Yeah, it's we probably had a funnier bit about this in the original episode, but like it's extremely well lit. Like all the fluorescents are pumping, and all these people are doing club stuff. Michael Douglas is in a tasteful sweater.
He's in like wearing some like H&M sweater, like it's not stylish. Like
it's some Banana Republic shit to the club.
It's like 2 sizes too big for him. Like the V-neck goes down too far. Like how you gonna go to the club like this, man? They should never let you in.
I think this was a thing. I think in England. I've not been to England. I'm talking out of my ass. I don't know if it's still like this, but I know that clubs used to be a lot brighter. Like they just didn't like let clubs and bars be dark. This might be more like a mid-century thing. So if you watch like films in England from then, like every bar is like very well lit. Like a disco is quite well lit.
Weird.
And that's what this feels like. I mean, I think it was some sort of like morality thing, right? Like you can't be immoral if the lights are on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what this feels like. That it's just like a bunch of adults behaving well,
doing synchronized dances together.
Yeah, I think they have glow sticks on, which is amazing because the lights are on.
Couldn't tell.
I do love the full blown party in the men's room, like the smaller, more drug based party going on in the men's room. That's still 100-watt bulbs, making sure you can see the line of coke that you're doing.
Yeah, that moment of Roxy and Catherine Trammell being kind of fed cocaine by this gentleman in the stall is amazing. It feels like an invitation for us, the audience, and Michael Douglas to approach them. But then Catherine Trammell, in maybe the only kind of like visual way, closes the frame on us. She outstretches her leg and then slams the fucking door in our face. It's incredible.
Because we do not learn what she doesn't want us to learn.
Exactly. And it's okay. I got to speak on the club a little bit. I love the idea of a repurposed fucking church, especially when it has those arches. If that neon was on and the lights were, it lost. There's literally like at one point that there's like a detached like stadium light like floating around in the background. If it lost all that bullshit and it was just like a neon fucking church, like gothic church, holy shit! Like, you fuck me up there. I want to go there.
Pumping that 90s rave music, I'd be I'd be there.
Yes, completely. But it's brilliant. It's super ridiculous. I do think the club feels like appropriately lived in or something. Like, it feels like packed. It feels like alive in a way that clubs often fail to feel alive. It's fine. It's the lighting that kills it, like everything. It's the amount of light that's being pumped in that makes or breaks the club experience.
Truly, you just don't want to be at a rave in the daytime.
Nope.
No, I really want everyone to be able to see how I'm dancing in the club. It's perfect. I want them to see every pore on my face in the least flattering fluorescent light imaginable.
I mean, when you're in the club from Blade, you want there to be a little bit of ambiguity of whether you're sucking face or sucking a human
face,
sucking a human dry. You know,
sucking face euphemistically or literally.
We guarantee lows.
I think my final big thing I wanted to talk about with this movie, and I don't think we talked about this on the first episode, so this is a new thought, brand new boutique thought. The car chasing scenes are incredible. The way they're shot and the way that they're edited are amazingly tense. I found them like viscerally upsetting because they just do so many like extremely dangerous things. Michael Douglas trying to pass 900 people on the mountain road was really stressful.
Yeah, dude.
But even worse was the car chase with Roxy, where they're just doing like they're inventing new illegal traffic maneuvers.
when he gets hit by that car at the start of that kind of car chase and like almost gets hit again and rolls out of the way, like it feels like impactful. It feels dangerous.
I mean, just the whole chase feels really, really dangerous. I would actually love to like watch some like mini featurette about how they did that. I mean, stunt drivers obviously, but it's just so. It seems almost too dangerous for that. Like they're like weaving out of spaces that are like slightly smaller looking than the car. It just seems very hard.
Yeah, I remember the car chase sequences. For some reason, I had it in my mind that they were like superfluous, but this time I'm like, Jesus, they're like really, really real. I mean, the way that Ferrari is weaving in and out of traffic is just fucking wild.
It's a Lotus.
Really, really well done. Oh, Lotus. Sorry.
I know that because I don't have the clip on my soundboard, but in the first episode we listened to the audio from like the pre-VHS roll, and they advertise a Lotus Sega Genesis game. On there. Or as like one of the potential prizes you could win if you got the Basic Instinct trivia answers correct or whatever. Win that.
You know the questions.
It was like what? It was like what does the killer use or something? It's all like incredibly basic shit.
Question 1. What is the murder weapon used by the killer in Basic Instinct? 1. A chainsaw. 2. A toothpick. 3. An ice pick. Question 2. Where was the first Lotus car made? 1. Greenland. 2. Mexico. 3. Britain. To enter, call 1-900-89...
What is the killer use?
Like an ice pick.
It's trivia for the toddlers that are watching. Right.
Write that down, honey. We can win a tote bag.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's better than I remembered. I liked it. Sharon Stone, is somebody said it. Role was made for her. Only she could have done this. It's an amazing accomplishment in ghoulery.
One of my favorite performances in a movie.
It is quite singular. I mean, there have been many cinema femme fatales, but like this has got to be one of the top 3.
Yeah.
I like her so much that it lubricates all of the otherwise miserable experience of risk addiction.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thankfully I blocked out most of that movie, and I only remember the intro sequence.
Yes!
Yeah, that intro is so goddamn good, dude.
She's just in London in a sports car getting fingered and crashes into water and does not bother to save.
The guy's like OD'd or whatever. Just doesn't bother to save.
Nope.
She got her nut, and that's it.
She's addicted to risk.
She's so addicted. She's so fucking addicted to risk. It's unbelievable.
She guarantees loads and gets out of there. Doesn't care about the dude after.
Yeah. So I upped my star rating. I saw that Letterboxd said I was at 3, but I have gone to 4. I think it's pretty good.
I'm staying at 5. This is a hell of a movie. I love this so goddamn much.
I don't remember what I was at, but 4.5. I think that's an up from what I was at for sure.
How about 4.5 then?
Cool with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Folks, I'm sort of speaking for my co-host here, but thank you so much for listening to Swim Fans. This is our 200th episode, which is nuts. I love to do this as a thing I do with my friends every week, and it's still crazy that people listen to it. And it's crazy to think that I might be learning things over the course of the show to learn how to better analyze and talk about movies. So whether you're a longtime Dove or a recent Dove, or this is the only episode you've ever listened to for some reason, we appreciate you. We love to hear feedback about the show. Makes our day. So thank you.
Thank you so goddamn much.
Yeah. Everyone who's listening and has listened, totally wild. Absolutely wild. Especially from other countries. What are you doing? What are you? I don't mean to make you feel bad about or re-examine your life choices or whatever, but like.
Yeah, actually, do not re-examine your life choices. Everything you're doing right now is working.
Fine. if you're feeling good about this, if it's bringing you some peace, God bless you. We love you.
Make no adjustments to your life, please.
You're on the right track, baby. Just keep going.
Here's a 200 more on episode 400. My prediction is that Craig is a robot. New York City is a crater, and the global temperature is raised by 2 degrees. So when the water wars begin, there will when the water wars have begun, there will still be swim fans.
Real trap shit.
You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. That is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. As always, please leave us a rating. Please leave us a review.
200 episodes. You can throw us an Apple Podcast review, right?
I wonder, if somebody was like a real sicko, like there was like a Swim Fans ghoul, I wonder how much they could learn about us over 200 episodes.
Oh, a lot.
Oh, you could probably drone strike me with all the information I give out on this goddamn thing.
We really there's 200 hours ish, and that's only numbered episodes that you can listen to.
250 things you can listen to on this goddamn feed. So
yeah, we love ratings, we love reviews, we love any sort of feedback at all, as long as it's nice. If you don't like the show, you can keep that to yourself because we're fragile boys. You can also find the show on all the social media. Use your SwimFansPod, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And you can find me at user Ramons, AMONNS. Alex.
Look here! Look, listen!
You can follow me on Twitter at Diatron5 and on Letterboxd Diatron. Craig.
You boys know how to shovel coal?
Oh god, there is no perfect, more perfect than Lucille Bluth for me. You can find me at Craig Neeson on Instagram and Letterboxd and www.craigneeson.com.
I wanted to get My Name is Judge, but it had like music behind it, and so I was trying to piece together the clips from Job's routine of like Judge, my name, and all that shit. And then I noticed that like there were different speeds and different recordings, and none of it sounded good. And I was like, God damn it, what the hell am I doing with my life? What are we doing here?
I'm the coolest.
As always, folks, we're here for loads.
Yep.
We guarantee loads.
I'm in a box, virgin sacrifice.
No loads refused, come dumb. Okay. That's the Swimfans guarantee.
Yeah, that's some
Real trap shit.
Yeah!
It's Britney, bitch. It's Britney, bitch. It's Britney, bitch.
What are we doing next time?
I don't know.
Okay, folks.
Whose choice is it?
What just went up? Yeah, caught was me.
So Craig.
Then my choice is Sleeping with the Enemy. The film Sleeping with the Enemy, starring, oh boy, what's her name? I forget.
What is her name?
Sleeping with the Enemy.
This whole thing smacks of gender.
I'd like to thank our special guest, the Swimfans soundboard. That was fun.
All right, we'll see you next week for something.
Sleeping with the Enemy.
Sleeping with the Enemy, that's right.
I'm afraid, babe. My mind is going.